Welcome to the kbbreview podcast, the show all about the ins and outs and ups and downs of being an independent kitchen and bathroom retailer. I'm Andy Davis, the editor of kbbreview, and this is the last in our very special bonus series of interviews marking our milestone 500th issue. We published our first issue way back in 1984, and since then we've brought retailers the latest news, big interviews, unwavering opinions, valuable advice, deep analysis, and product insights. And this longevity is not by accident. We are as buffeted by the uncertain and unpredictable market as much as anyone, and our heritage is built as much on resilience as it is by quality. And this is what we want to explore in this series. We're talking to some of the industry's leading suppliers about their resilience, their history, their continuity, and their investments in the future. So in this episode, we're meeting Matt Fowler, the commercial director of Hettich UK. It's a huge global company, of course, and it's been around for nearly 140 years. So in a conversation about longevity, well, this is about as long as it gets. So how does it deal with unforeseen disruption, and how does it look forward while being proud of its past? And here is Matt Fowler. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Andy. Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
So it's very good of you to spare us a little bit of time to talk about this subject, and particularly a brand and a company like Hettich, which has an enormous amount of heritage about it, both obviously in its home country of Germany, but also here in the UK. So everyone knows Hettich, of course they do, but just give us a brief overview of it in the UK and the kind of size and scale and how long it's been here. Just fill us in.
Hettich UK has been a subsidiary of the Hettich Group, and we've been active in the UK for around about 35 years. We've got around about 30 employees covering the UK, from warehouse, technical support, internal sales, external sales. Probably got around about 300 years of dedicated service, from people who have been here for months all the way up to 35 years since we started.
Just give us an idea of the scale of Hettich globally, because it's just one of the enormous companies and brands within this sector. Give us an idea of the size of it overall.
We turn over around about 1.4 billion euros in 2025. We regularly invest around about 100 million euros in future projects, from new products to new warehousing, etc. And we're active in around about 80 countries with 25 subsidiaries around the world.
By anybody's measure, that is a substantial business. So you're very best placed to give us an idea of the context that we're going to talk about this in, of how the market is right here and now. What's your reading of the current state of the market?
From a UK perspective, I think those that are doing well, and we can see from those customers that we work with, the ones that are doing well and are growing, they're all in double-digit growth. But then at the other end, the ones that are struggling in the market are down quite a lot. So I think there's two levels to the market at the moment. Those that are heading in the right direction are being very successful, and those that are possibly going in the wrong direction are really struggling.
Yes, and I think that's a pretty good assessment of how things are. The market is really strange, isn't it? It's been difficult and tricky for quite a long time. That's the thing that's made it difficult. But it's not the first time, even with Hettich in the UK, let alone Hettich globally, that you have to face difficult circumstances. And whether it's a dip in the market, whether it's a financial crash, whether it's Brexit, whether it's COVID, wars, there's all kinds of things that go on. How important do you think it is to look at times when things aren't great and learn from them and take lessons forward into how you run the company when things are okay?
I think this time has been slightly different, Andrew. So looking back at the recession in 2008, and also for Brexit, I feel that they were, and COVID as well, they were very much drop-offs and immediate drop-offs off the edge of a cliff. And then when we bounced back, they bounced back very quickly. What this time has shown is it's much more of a slower decline, and now it's taking much longer for that to rise from the ashes again. So I think it's different this time to what we've experienced in the past. What we've learned from the past is that staying close to our customers and knowing what they expect from us from a personal point of view, and making sure that we've got the right products at the right time for them, is what's setting us in a good stead.
How far ahead do you plan for things? Obviously, Hettich's got a long heritage. So how far ahead do you look at the market, at what you might need in 1, 2, 5, 6, 10 years' time? How far ahead do you plan?
Well, from a UK perspective, we're already forecasting. So for stock levels, what we need for the rest of the year, we're already on ahead of that. We're already writing business plans for 26, 27, 28, and 29, so that we're forecasting what we're going to be doing so that Germany are fully aware. And Germany are talking 5, 10 years in advance of that. So where they're looking at investing money in new products and new buildings, new factories, they're looking at 2035 potentially already.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's very easy to react to the market, particularly when you, as you say, things like Brexit or COVID, the sudden drop-offs. It's very easy to make rash decisions about things in the heat of the moment. But that's not the most resilient way of approaching a long-term success of a business, isn't it? And I think clearly, even now, even when the market is very depressed, the fact that a company is looking that far ahead and looking at investments that far ahead is a big sign of how important it takes longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been around nearly 140 years now, so we've got great experience of planning and forecasting exactly which direction the market's going. But we work with a lot of partners in not just in hinges and drawers, but in the white goods market as well. So we're talking to those guys. So they're looking at what's coming and where they're going to need certain products and what the future lies for the industry. So it's not just drawers and hinges for us, it's partnerships as well for those customers.
You've got to watch the market and you've got to understand the market very, very closely. But there must also be a part of it, it's about ignoring the market and just doing what you do and doing what you do best. And the balance between those two things is a big part of it, don't you think?
I think we're leaders in innovation in the industry that we're in. So we very rarely copy what anybody else is doing. We're always at the forefront of leading the way. So we take Fernspin, for instance, which is our latest flagship product. Nobody else has got anything like that. And when we showed that at Interzoom 2 years ago, it was the wow of the show. For me, it's about giving people ideas and showing the innovation that's available so that they can take those ideas and put them into practice into their own furniture. And that's what Hettich is all about.
Yeah, I think you have to have, even a company the size of yours, you have to be a bit bold sometimes. You have to be ambitious to always move forward. The kind of numbers that you were talking about for the money that goes to Hettich, it'd be very easy if you like to rest on the laurels and rest on the brand and rest on the heritage. But there's no longevity in that compared to investing in new products, investing in innovative things that might work or might not work.
There's always a risk. There's always a risk when you look at a new product and obviously we do market research and we go out to customers and we show them to even end users and do workshops in Germany with those people. So we kind of know what the market is looking for, even if we're looking at a color of a drawer. For as many years as I started with this company, Battleship Grey was the color of a drawer. And when the new anthracite drawer color came out, and it was changing the market. So it's what the consumer wants at the end of the day. And they always want something that is latest on trend.
Yeah, I've talked about this with other people on this series. You have to lean on your heritage, but not rely on your heritage. And I think that's a big part of what resilience and longevity is. How much do you look for resilience and longevity in your suppliers? You are part of a supply chain. How much do you look for it in the people that sell to you? Is it part of the factor that goes into that decision?
From a steel provider in Germany, then obviously we're always talking to those guys to make sure that we've got continuous supply, and we're providing those with forecasts so that they know what's coming, so they can see far enough in ahead as to what steel requirements we need to make the various components that we stamp out.
Because I think they're the factors that make people not just buy on price.
Well, for me, that's the beauty of buying from a European supplier. If you know that you're buying from a European supplier who is buying their steel from a European supplier, then you've got more confidence in continuity of supply. Once you start branching that out and we look at the issues you're having with shipping currently and the cost exposures that you get with shipping those products from Asia, and we're not immune to it. Obviously, we've just recently had the acquisition of FGV in Italy, and yes, we do source some of those products from Asia. So we're not immune to that from that side of the business. But from a Hettich perspective, we know what we're buying, when we're buying it, and we're safe and secure.
And for your customers, that must be a great reassurance for them when they look at the heritage that Hettich has got as well. They must be really reassured and confident in you.
Absolutely. And that's what I think our partners want from us. They want to know that we're not going to let them down. The products are going to be there, and we can't ring up and say, oh, sorry, that shipment that was on the way, it's stuck, and sorry, the container's gone missing, or whatever. We know that lorry is coming over from Germany, and it will be with the customers.
That is a big part of it. And I think the retailers that we talk to, they're customers. That's why they're going to those retailers, because they've been there a long time. They are soaked in their own expertise. And I think that's part of what people look for. As much as price, I think. There's always people that will shop on price, but some people just want the reassurance of somebody who knows what they're doing and has been doing it for a long time. I think that's really important. One of the things that came out of COVID in particular was the sort of stability of that supply chain. Technology had reached a point where just in time was the model that many people were using, and COVID really exposed the frailties of just in time when there is a break in that supply chain. How do you balance efficiency versus that stability? Because that's a really difficult line to walk, isn't it?
Yeah, for us, we're always forecasting, Andrew. So we've got our ASMs, and each customer has got their own dedicated internal support. So we don't rely on various calls going to anybody within the office. So those guys are talking to the customers on a weekly, or even some customers on a daily basis, so that we know what they require and when they're going to require it. We can see what they're forecasting, and by forecasting far enough ahead, then we're making sure that we get that continuity of supply. And we'll be the first to admit COVID was difficult for everybody, but likewise, there's a number of customers that we did help out and make sure that when other people had let them down, we were there to help them out when needed.
Communication is an enormous part of this, isn't it? I think you have a relationship with people that, in cases of companies like yours, built up over decades, and you have to keep that dialogue going. And no matter how big the company is, that personal one-to-one communication is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, really, we've got 300 years of experience within internal and external sales. So there's not a lot that team doesn't know about hinges, drawers, or any of our components. And one of our brand values is closeness to customers, and that's what we maintain.
Which is brilliant to see. Do you plan ahead for disruption, if that makes sense? Do you build some kind of unknown quantity into any forecasting or planning you do? Really, since 2008, there's just been this one thing after another that's come down and hit everybody. And it's almost as if, what's the next thing? I don't know. It could be a hurricane. It could be an alien invasion. It could be a zombie attack. I mean, who knows? Is there a part of you when you're forecasting or planning that has to have that column of, we just don't know?
We're very difficult to plan for something you don't know what's coming around the corner. We've just extended our warehouse by around about 20% for our floor space, because customers want the Amazon model. They want things quicker and faster, and they want the better service. So since Brexit, we've had a little bit more further delays coming with goods coming from Germany. So listening to our customers and getting the feedback, we have to react to that. And that's what we've done.
And building a buffer in there. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a big investment, actually, to have that much stock. Well, A, to get a new warehouse, but B, to have the stock in that warehouse. That's a lot of money.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's sort of round this up by stepping outside of this industry. Is there a brand or a couple of brands that you watch outside of this industry that you just really like how they do things, that you really like their values and the way that they operate, that really makes you think, yes, that's a fantastic model to follow?
I had this question asked previously by a marketing company, and everybody within the organization said, oh, Apple. It's the easy answer. Everyone says Apple. But for me, my answer was Belstaff, from a company that puts their name behind the brand in Bell, and they're proud to be from where they are in Staffordshire, and they're about quality products, and they're industry leading. And if you look back to before I was born, but going back to the 60s, they were groundbreaking, because they were the first people who started giving their products to the likes of Steve McQueen and saying, here you go, you wear this because we know everyone's going to want to buy it.
Influencers.
And for me, that's influences in the 60s, absolutely. And for me, looking at that with their heritage, British, Staffordshire, which is where I'm from myself, I'm really really bought in with Bell stuff myself.
That's a great example. I like that one. And you're right, a few other people have said Apple. but they are a fantastic company and they're completely well deserved. Look, Matt, it's been so interesting talking to you. And as I say, Hettich are just such a fantastic example of this resilience and longevity thing that we've been talking about. And to reach, hundreds of years, let alone dozens of years, is a real achievement. Thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Andrew, and nice to see you again.